Jesus?
That'd be me.
What's going on, dude?
Not too much. I was just trying to figure out how to get this shit to work.
Yeah.
Are we the only ones here right now?
I see David, or wait, no, you're David. David Pope
Yeah.
was in the other one. I thought he was trying to beep in. No, another chat started a few minutes ago that's got Trevor and Spats and Penny and Andrew's been in and out. Here he comes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've never used this, so I don't know exactly how it works.
It's the first time I've done the live thing, so this should be interesting. It's like, I don't know, it's like moving slower than the other one was, so I guess it's recording. I don't know.
Huh. Interesting. My phone was blowing up with all the notifications.
Yeah, mine too.
I had no idea this was even going on, and then I kept getting notifications, and I'm like, huh, well, I'm near a computer.
Yeah, because your work schedule is pretty crazy, isn't it?
It's not really crazy, it's just it takes up all day during the week, so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I have to be at the gym at 5 in the morning, and then at work the rest of the day.
Yeah. The dream. Living it.
Oh, absolutely. Alright. Andrew just said he's having some technical difficulties. So there's another chat going on too? Is that?
Left it actually. I'm messaging him now.
Gotcha. Everybody move over here. Andre. Turn this off on my phone. That's going to get annoying. Hey, there he is.
How's it going?
Alright, so we got 2.
We got 4 more in the other window. If we can just get him to come over to this window.
Oh, there he is. Look at him.
Made
He's
it
so
back.
beautiful.
What's up, guys? I was trying to do it on my phone, and everybody was lagging really bad. I didn't know if that was my fault or not, and then I just got my laptop.
There you go.
Hey,
Is everybody else eating too? I'm eating.
hey, can you guys hear me at all?
Yeah.
Start my car earlier.
What
Nice
else
to
is there to
meet
do?
For the second time.
First time for me. First time.
Yep. What's up, man?
You guys better make it good.
How's it going?
I don't plan on talking at all. I'm just gonna listen the whole time.
That was more or less what I was planning on doing.
It'll get fun when Brandon gets here. It's always entertaining to listen to him talk.
Yes, we can hear you, Andrew. At least I can.
Oh, perfect. I thought I was talking to myself there for a bit.
No, you're good. We hear you.
Alright, good. I felt like an ass for there for a second.
I didn't hear you, but now I hear you.
Perfect. Yeah, I had to
Like,
start
is
that
it
other
just
one
us
that
four?
was on the iPad, though. Right now it's just us 4. There's supposed to be a bunch more, so I don't know where they're at.
There was a second video call, right?
Yeah, I kind of fucked things up and started with my iPad, but that was just the regular old one we did last time that we didn't record.
Okay, got you. Well, there was, I think there was multiple. Maybe I'm just remembering things wrong. I think there was more, like 2 or 3 other people on that one too.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
Trevor, Spats, and Penny.
Yeah, I gotta find a way to get a
Alright.
hold of them to get them over here. I don't know how the hell to do that though.
Can you send them a message, maybe? Yeah, I'll try to do my.
Yeah, let me give it a shot. Yeah, yeah.
I just got an invite from Tex too, or maybe that was from last week or last month. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was last time. Tex is taking his girl to a movie or something right now.
Dude,
What's up with
priorities.
that?
What the heck?
Seriously.
I know, right?
Sausage Fest.
She should. This is like a movie in and of itself. Just come and watch this.
For real.
Has anybody seen Transformers and know anything good about it?
No.
I haven't heard anything good.
I kind of expected
I heard it wasn't.
to be, I kind of expected to be mostly like the other 3. So
Optimus Prime is riding a T-Rex. Your argument is invalid.
that is true.
I heard the last 30 minutes are everything you could ever want in a Transformers movie, though.
Really?
That was from a guy who saw the 3 Transformers before and didn't think they were that great.
Oh, well, that's good. I like that. I like that. Maybe I'll actually go see it.
I don't think I'm actually gonna pay the $17 or whatever it is to go see it or anything.
I might go tomorrow morning. Sunday morning's really, really cheap.
Really?
Yeah.
I know they have like
here.
weekday deals. Like, yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, at least the theater that I have down here, going and seeing something in like IMAX 3D normally costs like $20, and I think I can see it for like 7 or 8 on a Sunday morning. That's worth it to
There you
me.
go. Sounds good.
I'm just going to wait a month and go to the $5 theater.
Did you guys get that message in the other Hangout?
I did.
I
yeah.
just got it.
I did.
Okay, hopefully that spurs them all to come over here.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, he's not going to be here.
Yeah, that should have sent it to everybody. So hopefully they get it. Cool.
David, how long is that hair getting now? You ever like measure how long it is, or you just go by like shoulder length? It is. You can almost do like a Avril Lavigne or Alanis Morissette who did the naked cover where it was like covering her boobs.
Dude, I'm close.
Awesome.
It's getting there, man. It's getting there.
It was a sad day when mine went. Although I'm thinking about growing it back out, so we'll see.
Yeah, man. That first picture that I saw of you, I was like, motherfuck, it's gone. It was so nice looking too.
It was crazy because I've never had my hair that long. I was just when it's short, it's just real straight. So I assumed it would stay straight as it grew out. It actually kind of got wavy. I was like, all right, this is cool.
Man.
I don't have to do anything.
You had some nice volume. It was real nice.
I hope that everybody who's joining is getting the conversation about our hair.
Hey, dude. What are you gonna do?
The forums need a whole section just for hair game.
That's really the only reason I eat like I do is so I can grow my hair right.
There we go. We got a couple more in here.
Yeah, I was wondering why there are 2 hangouts going at the same time.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's me. I fucked that one up.
Yeah, I was actually Googling how to record it in all these different apps and everything as, people were like, hey, you need to head on over to other one. So, there we go. I'll just stop now.
Hold on a
Alright.
second.
Anybody know if Brandon's coming in at all?
I saw him in the chat box, but I didn't see his face.
No.
I think he said, well, this was like 2 weeks. Didn't he say he was going to drop by if he could? On the crazy thread that is the Skype conference call.
Yeah, the crazy useless thread. Alright, I'm just getting the topics together, and I guess we can just get started. Whoever hops in later can hop in.
I was just trying to see if you guys could all check out my cool poster of the Enterprise
Nice.
up here. It's,
I like it.
It's too much glare though.
No, hang on.
The nerd action going on over here. It's pretty nerd level's high.
Star Wars is better anyway, so.
Whoa, hold on a second. Lego. That's
Alright, that's
Very
bad.
nice. Very nice.
also we don't need to start that war about which one is better, Star Trek or Star Wars on this.
It'll just devolve into something
Although
terrible, eh?
although I tend to agree with you, Andrew.
There we go.
New enemies would be made. It'd be terrible.
Yeah, I'm all the way up in Canada, so I don't have to worry about any of you guys coming over here.
Hey, I would, man. Except for your winters. I wouldn't take those.
Man, which is the best? You can't play ice hockey in the summer.
I was gonna say, I think I would actually enjoy the winter. I kind of hate summer.
There you go.
No, this is
Oh my god.
this is disgusting here. But I don't like 40 degrees below zero. I just don't do that.
Oh man, nothing like getting a little bit of ice on your balls.
I would rather do that than 120 degrees. I'll tell you that much.
I'm with
Yeah.
Trev on this one. Because
Well, dude,
Florida
you live-
sucks too.
I'm not saying you live in Florida. You don't like. You
I
can
fucking-
move, you know.
No,
Dude, it is freaking humid today.
maybe one day. Maybe one day.
How close do you guys live, Steven and David? Are you guys anywhere each other? No, Florida's gigantic.
3 hours maybe? 3?
2 hours the way I drive.
2 hours. There you go.
Nice.
I'm in Pensacola. He's in Tallahassee. They're very close.
That makes me want to watch Zombieland.
Okay. That's fine.
Hey, Andrew, can you send an invite to Ryan Ottawell for the live chat?
Yeah, I tried that earlier and I couldn't get him for some reason.
Yeah, it won't let me add him either.
Yeah, because I just added him today, and I tried to. I don't know. Oh, there he is, Ryan Otwell. Alright, I fired it over to him, so we'll see if he can come in or not. Otherwise, it should be posted later, so.
Yeah.
Alright, looks like we got everybody, eh?
Did someone bother to write down all the things we said we were going to talk about?
Boom.
Look at that.
I'll be
That's
Good,
called
so
being
I-
organized, fellas.
I forgot about
And ladies.
Do we have a designated question answer for all this? Trevor, is that you?
What?
I said, are you the designated answerer for all this? I think Andrew and Trevor, that's you two guys, right?
Yeah, they're the smart ones. Should be them.
I agree.
I'm just smart on the internet. That's it. Real life dumb, internet smart.
Exactly.
I don't even look either. I just pretend to.
We all knew that, though.
Yeah. Well, of course. All right, cool. I think we got everybody. Looks like Ryan was able to hop on too.
Yeah.
So.
I am.
I think that's
Let's-
everyone that's going to make it today, so.
All right, well, let's just give her then. So, it looks like the first question had to do with programming. Basically, it was for Tex, but he's not here, so he's just worried. He's just wondering. He's just wondering about weak, lagging body parts. So I guess we can just go through how you attack those, what your ideas are as far as like frequency, exercise selection, all that bullshit.
Right.
Hey, go.
Tackle it.
Okay, well, fuck it. I'll just go first. I almost lost the table. For me, anyway, frequency, I figure you gotta do at least twice a week on whatever you're doing, and then, like for my quads were a big issue for me for a while, and I don't think I'm gonna squat 400 without some seriously monster ones anyway. So, my big deal was twice a week I was squatting, so I did back squat, front squat, I rotated between high bar, 2, and low bar, and then I added in some hacks for extra volume, so I do like 5x10 or something really heavy, and then leg presses for volume too. So I think you need both. I think you need to hit your strength work, and then you need to get the extra volume and something easier. And definitely multi-joint if you can, so use a hack or use a leg press or something versus using a leg extension, per se. So that's my, anyways, idea. I think you need to hit it with a shit ton of volume after you do some main heavy work. But
I agree.
Yeah, I agree on the frequency issue. The frequency and volume. My arms have always been tiny, and the thing that I've in the last 5 years that has helped them was actually doing a Paul Carter technique where he did it's like 3 big, 3 small, and he hit it arms and shoulders like every other day, but you're doing like 5 sets of 20, 6 sets of 15, and I put on like a half in a matter of like 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and that's like the most they've grown in the past 5 years.
I think another thing is being able to actually activate the muscle.
Yes.
Because I know, for me, it took a long time to really be able to. When I would squat, I was so glute and hamstring dominant, just posterior chain entirely, that I could never feel my quads. And so when I finally worked on that, and then even like leg press, I wouldn't feel my quads. Hack squats, I wouldn't feel my quads. So I lightened the load and really focused on actually getting a mind-muscle connection, and it has helped.
makes you sound like a bodybuilder.
I know, right?
That was the one thing about the how do you say that? MI40X?
Yeah.
Whatever it is that like when I was watching those videos, it was he did a really good job of explaining how best to start the motion with the muscle that you're trying to work. He's obviously it's a much different mindset than if you're powerlifting where like you're talking about you need to go weight from X position to Y position and back up or back down.
Yeah.
But I think that he did a great job of explaining, because a lot of people say mind-muscle connection, and like you can be like, okay, I'm thinking about my bicep, but the bicep isn't curling it up. Like, I think he did a really good job of calling that out. And, Tex is going to hear this, and he's going to say, yeah, I already read it and watched all those videos. But for those who haven't seen MI40X or Ben Pulaski's stuff, I think he does a good job.
Hey, ladies, want to chime in on something that works maybe a little different for you?
I don't know. I don't really have any parts of my muscles that I'm thinking are weaker than the others that I'm trying to actively work out. So I haven't really dealt with trying to focus.
It's a rough life, isn't it?
I was just gonna say, I think we all hate you now.
Oh no, I'm a pretty happy girl.
Yeah. All right, cool. So I think we pretty much settled on frequency, and I guess volume's kind of dependent. But I'm of the opinion, like, I know with my biceps anyways, as soon as I started doing hundreds, so I do one big set. I try to do 100 straight, but I end up with like 60 in one big set. And I do 20, 20, 10, or 20, 20, depending on what it is. And my biceps have grown just from that. I haven't moved from the 45-pound bar. So I think volume's really a key there.
Yeah.
And I only do that once a week, so frequency isn't that big either.
I will also say, I absolutely agree with that, but I also do think that you have to couple that in with like the people. I mean, if you're swinging the weight, you're still going to get muscle. I mean, you're going to activate the muscles you want to, but you're not going to get the same amount of effect if you're actually doing 100 and trying to focus on what you're trying to do as opposed to just moving the weight.
Yeah, I agree. I think one thing that helped me with that. Sorry, Trevor, to cut you off, but I think one thing that helped me with that was running the AGVT. So I ran tempo, and that 4-second eccentric, well, it fucking murdered me. Was great for learning how to actually activate like my quads, for instance. How to use that actual muscle, because I had to lower it, obviously, with the 4-second eccentric, but I just was so much better able to activate the muscles I wanted to by using that tempo. So I think that's a neat way to kind of go about it, at least when you're starting, and then you can just hammer it after that.
Agreed. Yeah, because I see people in the gym all the time, they're doing bicep curls, and all they're doing is using their hips to get it all the way up and then dropping it. And so they're not really getting anything for their biceps. And you see that with pretty much any movement.
Yeah, but man, you need cheat curls.
I love cheat curls. I think cheat curls
all the time.
At least
matter of not actually just dropping the weight down.
Exactly. At least if you're gonna cheat them up, at least work on the way down.
Yeah.
Or don't do 100. Don't do 100 cheat curls. Do like, 40 right and then like 10 or 20 wrong at the end. Like cheat curls at the end.
Yeah.
I love it when I see somebody who puts on like 35 pounds on a curl bar and then like at the beginning of their arm workout and starts with the cheat curls. I'm like, oh no.
That's all I see half the people at my gym doing. There's a group of guys that's there, and I see them there a couple days a week, and I've never seen them do anything other than curls and like just arms in general. I've never seen them do any leg work, any back work. Never even seen them do bench press.
Can you tell just by looking at them?
Oh.
They don't look like they do anything.
Oh, okay. So it's like you can't really differentiate.
Then there's the guy that's like 100 pounds overweight, and I walk in and I watch him do wrist curls for 20 minutes.
Oh my god. Okay.
I've seen that guy. He's in my gym too.
You guys have seen that?
Probably like 5% body fat.
Oh yeah, totally. Smart production, bro.
You guys ever see that gym meme with like the guy who's got the big upper body and no legs, and it's like his other friends? I have like that guy. I swear to God, he's at my gym.
Yeah, mine too.
Dude has like four arm days and upper body days and like one leg day, and it's the most pathetic shit I've ever seen.
But most of the time, they always like you can tell even if you can't see their legs because they're the ones that wear like muscle tops and then they wear the sweatpants or like the.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, it's like 40 degrees outside, sweating my balls off, and the guy's in sweatpants.
I wear long pants in the gym, so shut up.
You also wear long pants while you squat, so people can't tell you that you're not squatting.
Yes, I do. Yeah. But
cool.
no, there's this kid. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right, let's get this back on track here. Okay, so I can't remember who asked it, but just I guess in terms of there's a big deal now about like primal food or clean food or some people do the IFIM beauty. Yeah, I don't know any names, so so I guess the big thing there is like, do you guys give a shit or do you not give a shit whether it's primal or clean or you just eat whatever the fuck works?
I eat whatever I want.
I think if it affords if you can afford it, go for it. But if it doesn't make as me as a college kid, I can't afford some of that stuff, so I just get what's on sale.
Yeah, I shop cheap. I eat a lot of rice and potatoes, but that's because rice and potatoes are really cheap.
Man, carbohydrates in general are really cheap. I love it.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, well, see, I asked it because I was just curious because like I started out like I came into this protocol from a very dogmatic primal point of view, and like I was doing cheap primal, grocery store beef and whatever. But no, I was just curious to see how the attitudes have changed because I know like everyone here, or at least not everyone, but most guys have done like gluten free for a time or whatever for a while, and I backload with predominantly rice because it is cheap, but so are donuts. So I was just curious to what what y'all were thinking in terms of like how you perform better or stuff you've seen going from one to the other. So that's the whole reason I brought it up.
I will make a caveat. Well, go ahead, Andrew.
So I know, like, for me, from like a performance standpoint, like, fuck, I eat cheap tuna. I eat tuna and salad 2 meals a day, and then I fire in some eggs and whatever at night. Like, it might be eggs and rice, eggs and potatoes, eggs and ice cream. Like, I'll just slam down whatever. I mean, aside from, like, I might feel a little bit like shit if I really go overboard on the ice cream, but I mean, performance-wise, I'm still a rock star. Like, when I'm squatting the next day, it's great on potatoes or rice or whatever.
Yeah, for me, I will generally, I do eat gluten pretty much whenever now. Although I do notice after, say, the holidays when I really go off the rails, I have to watch it for a few weeks just because the holidays tend to wreck my digestive system. But then after a few weeks of just watching it and eating really a lot better, I feel better and I can go back to kind of just doing whatever, which again is most of the time rice, potatoes. I get canned tuna, canned salmon, sardines, cheap eggs. I buy like the ones that's 4 dozen for $8.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that you live in the U.S. and you can actually do that. The cheapest I get at 12 eggs for is like $1.99, and that's a rare thing.
But you probably have more solid sources of food than we do.
More solid what?
Sources, like the places where your eggs are coming from, it's probably less shaky, less
Suspicious.
less suspicious. Exactly.
I don't know, man. It's probably just as fucking bad.
Oh, it's Canada. Come on, Canada's always nice to everything.
Yeah, but our farm produce is still
Not get grass-fed butter in Canada.
You can't?
It's fucking impossible. There's one place that does it, and they're way out on the East Coast, and they don't even deliver across the country.
That's rough.
Motherfuckers.
That is rough.
Yeah, so that's my little rant for today.
So I will say that I've been interested in this too because everybody's like Steven said, everybody's kind of swung back from one point at another, giving even Kiefer has been talking about don't eat gluten. Most people are gluten insensitive if you're not gluten intolerant. I think it's interesting, and it's probably something that's I mean, all of us seem to be pretty young individuals, young and we're obviously caring about what we put in our body. I think it's interesting to see. It will be interesting to see. I can't really give an answer to it. I don't think anybody can right now as to how it's gonna play into people's lives. As they get older, if your body becomes less or more intolerant or more resistant to eating dairy, eating gluten, or if it's you're the way you are from early in your life on.
Yeah, because that was on my mind yesterday too. Because Tim Ferriss reposted that guest article Rob Wolf put on his blog a while back, how to keep feces out of your bloodstream, and so like the long view of it has kind of been on my mind. Just like, okay, we can take it in doses. Are we thinking about long term? Are we thinking about health in addition to performance? I mean, it's its own can of worms. I mean, you could probably do a whole hangout just on that, but I just find it interesting. It's just been on my mind lately.
On that note, though, a lot of the people that they talk about, when they do talk about those things, they have been eating like crap day in and day out for years with no thought to what they're actually putting in their body. We may eat like crap sometimes, but we also all know what we're putting in our body.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of times the problem is nothing's on like a trained individual.
Yeah,
exactly. Like someone who's like meteorically fucked up in the first place, and then let's try to make them healthy. Okay, well anything's gonna work from there.
Exactly. It's like people always ask me when I first started losing weight, what did you do? Well, I went from eating pizza 5 nights a week to 3 nights a week. Like, it wasn't that hard to lose some weight when I did that, and I actually did more walking than from my chair to the fridge. Let's go.
So did you just move where your chair was, like put it in a different room? All right, so I guess that kind of ties in the next one is like food allergies. I guess Tex was wondering about that as well. I think I was saying that anyway.
That might have been me again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay. Could have been. Again, I don't know. But I guess how are they overcome if you had some food allergies? I've been pretty fortunate my whole life, so I never really had many food allergies. Like, and I grew up eating a shit ton of gluten, right? Like pasta, bread, like everything. I'm Italian, so like we eat carbs.
Oh yeah, when you eat good.
Right. Yeah. I had like cereal 3 times a day for pretty much my entire childhood. So it's a miracle I'm not 400 pounds. But for me, a lot of things. One thing I did notice going gluten free, for instance, was my allergies were a lot less severe.
Yeah, I do have that.
And now when I slam like a few beers back, or if I have like a few slices of bread or whatever, I notice I'm immediately stuffy in the morning, and it's awful. I get all mucusy and stuff. So gluten free helped me there, but I didn't really have any other big ones. So I don't know if any of you guys have some that you've been able to kind of reverse, or whether it's really even just like you grow out of some stuff and you grow into other things.
So for me, I have an issue with eggs. I can eat eggs like every day, every meal for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden I'll eat eggs and I will be doubled over in pain. And I just have to cut them out for about a month, and then I can bring them back. So I think a lot of times it's just people, when they have issues with it, might benefit from taking it out for a short period of time and then trying to reintroduce it, rather than dropping it out forever and reintroducing it just once. And they need a couple times maybe to see how they react when they bring it back.
Right, Trevor, was that you that was talking about on the forums at one point about how when you cut out gluten and you put it back in, that you have like if you like go strict no gluten for like 2 months or whatever, you come back, you bring it back into your diet, and you have almost as severe, if not more severe, reaction to it as you did before?
I don't know if I've talked about that, but it's been talked about. I mean, Kiefer talks about it a lot. It's been
a lot of
talked
different
about.
people have talked about it. I've talked about it.
Yeah, you do see that. If you take something out for especially an extended period of time, and then you add it back in, you can't just take one single time as a judge of, I should never eat this again because I haven't had it for 30 days and now I'm having it again and I'm having a reaction.
Yeah.
Maybe add it slowly. And of course, you also see when people do that, they take it out, and then when they add it back in, they eat a large pizza and a dozen donuts. Okay, well, maybe it wasn't the gluten, and maybe it was just the fact that you ate so much food. Maybe you should try to be a little more conservative bringing this back. Start with, a sandwich or something, or a donut rather than a dozen donuts.
Yep.
Yeah, when I went completely gluten-free for quite a few months, I was like, well, maybe it wasn't the gluten. So it was a big Christmas dinner, and it was all the family brought all, and I was thinking, I'll stay gluten if I can stay gluten, but it's a carb night, and I'm going to be eating carbs. Everything had gluten. I'm like, all right.
I'm just going to eat everything.
I ate everything, and I ate multitudes of everything. And the next day was the worst day ever. I mean, I just had all sorts of digestion issues. I was weak. I was fluish. I was just like, why did I do this to myself? But afterwards, I took it out again, and it's slowly reintroducing it into my carb night, not like the Christmas dinner. I have no problem with gluten. Like, I can have a gluten-filled carb night, and it's fine.
It's just like I said, though, like, on the holidays, I will go off the rails and just eat kind of whatever. And I feel like crap afterwards, but, it's probably because I ate like a half of 4 different pies and like 15,000 calories in a day. That's probably going to be a bigger reason I'm going to have digestive upset than because I had gluten.
It's probably a combination. I will agree with that, because I did have a lot.
Yeah.
I hate the saying, but it sounds like it's coming down to everything in moderation. I hate that saying, but it sounds like
I do too, but yeah.
It's a cliche for a reason, right?
Well, so long as you're not a blonde reporter at the morning news, it's okay to say it. You just can't say it on TV.
Yeah.
Since I'm
Imagine,
blue,
you'll get better by eating less shit, like less often. You can eat shit, but just don't eat all the time.
Yeah,
Amazing.
exactly.
Yeah. Sexy. I guess here, I got two that kind of tie in right away. So I think Brandon was actually wanting to know about adequate sleep and then how you guys get it, and that kind of ties into how we approach rest recovery. I'll let
Okay.
someone else start off. I've been talking to you.
I'll start off on this one. Magnesium is, I think, a big one. And a lot of people supplement with magnesium, but you have to look at the form you're supplementing with. I think that, honestly, transdermal is probably going to be the best absorbed, but if you're going to take an oral, a lot of people use citrate, but I've actually found better results using something like glycinate. And I think when
So go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was going to ask you, are there? I guess I'm not a great micronutritionist. Are there foods that are high in magnesium that you would suggest for people?
Leafy greens are, but it's kind of difficult to get all the magnesium you need from diet. And in my opinion, one of the actual easiest and cheapest ways to really, especially if you're training hard and often, is every week take a Epsom salt bath with about 2 cups of Epsom salt. A lot of people, when they do Epsom salt baths, they just use a little bit and they don't use enough. But I find when I do that, the next couple of nights afterwards, I will sleep incredible. And then as I start training hard, even if I'm supplementing with magnesium, it begins to taper off.
That's probably a combination between magnesium and also the stress relief that comes from taking Epsom salt baths,
Yeah.
I would guess. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's just an easy one. Epsom salt's really cheap. And then you can get into some supplementation outside of magnesium, but some actual things like 5-HTP, especially if you're really stressed out and always have a hard time sleeping. Mixing that with tryptophan is really effective. A really cheap supplement is an herb called kava kava. You can get like a deal of like 60 pills for $8 off Amazon, and it's actually a muscle relaxant. But if you take it at night, you'll notice you'll get drowsy pretty quick from it. And that can be a cheap herbal supplement to take to help wind down at the end of a night. Then, as much as it sucks, a cold shower about 30 minutes before bed, you'll sleep like a rock if you do that.
I love cold showers.
Especially in the summer, I do too.
Absolutely. I've also noticed that decreasing. So I actually have on my phone. I think we probably talked about it at some point. It's like a Twilight, I think is what's called. It dims the blue
I
light.
have that on my phone, yeah.
And you can get one for your computer too. It's called like F.Lux.
Flux.
Yeah, I use that. It's awesome.
Flux for your computer. If you have an Android, you can get Twilight. If you have an iPhone, unless you jailbreak it, you're SOL.
But
That's why you should get it.
I've noticed it, and I've also cut out my I used to just watch TV until I would fall asleep, or I would watch TV and then I'd be like, all right, time to go to bed, walk upstairs. I started instituting like an hour before bed, or maybe even more, of just cutting out TV time. And I think it's a combination between the stimulation of it and also the fact that I'm staring at a screen of light for hours on end or whatever.
Don't mind looking kind of like a fool. Orange glasses.
Yeah.
Wear these at night,
Nice.
and they block out blue light, and so you don't stop melatonin production in the evening. So wearing those about an hour and a half, 2 hours before bed will definitely help with sleep.
Do you do that a lot, or do you just do that if you've been noticing that your sleep is going downhill?
Honestly, I only do it when if I'm watching TV or playing a video game or something, I'll do it. But other than that, like, I have Flux on my computer, so I don't worry about it with that. I have Twilight on my phone, so I don't worry about it with that. So it just depends on what I'm going to be doing.
I will also say one more thing. If we want to move on, we can. But Tex, I'm talking to you, buddy. Just chill out at night. Just relax.
That would be more of a 24/7 thing.
Absolutely, but it'll help you sleep 100% if you relax.
Yeah.
I think Trevor's the closest. You need to just go black out every mirror that guy walks by.
Yeah. No, I've thought about it. Don't worry, I've thought about it.
Well, I'll just say, like, I know for me, I read Asprey had a bulletproof for hacking your sleep post up. And for me, so I've included now, before bed is a teaspoon of honey and, teaspoon's a smaller one. Teaspoon of honey and magnesium before bed. And then as soon as I get up, I slam some, I get 3,000, I use a D3, vitamin D3, and that usually keeps me going pretty good. One thing I do, like recovery-wise, is if I notice I'm sleeping like shit and I get up and I'm feeling groggy, I cut coffee out for like 2 weeks and then reintroduce it again. Because then I end up supplementing coffee for a lack of sleep, and then I'm just running off coffee instead of actually being well rested. So that's what I kind of have to catch myself doing, and if I'm having like 2 or 3 a day, I just kind of cut it all out 2 weeks and then back to normal.
So the coffee one's a tough one for me. I am addicted to coffee, but I'm addicted to the taste of it. And I'm the type that I can drink a pot of coffee right before bed and crash.
Yes, so can I.
Yeah.
But I know it's not good for me.
When I started working my new job and I had to get up at 5 in the morning, I decided I was going to cut my caffeine consumption off at 2 p.m. And it didn't change how easy it was for me to fall asleep, but it did make waking up at 5 in the morning a lot easier, and I had more energy in the first half of the day.
Yeah,
So,
that was one big thing I noticed, is it wasn't like, because I can have the coffee too and head right to bed, but I did notice, like, getting up the next day, I didn't feel like a bag of shit if I cut it off early.
yeah. So that's been the one thing I've noticed, and that sucks for me because I like coffee with dessert, so I've had to go to decaf.
Here's a addendum question to what we're talking about now. Does anybody have problems out there who's carb backloading? Or I guess carb night would be the case too. Who eat carbs and like the thermal effects, like your body's going into thermogenesis or whatever, causes you to have problems sleeping, or you have to turn the fan on and then you wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning and you're freezing because you've been blowing a fan directly on you for multiple hours?
I have a
First
problem.
half, yes. The second half, no.
Yeah, same here.
Ditto. I love it being freezing, so I don't have a problem with the fan at all.
I could sleep on a block of ice and I would be in heaven.
So
Yeah,
you actually get the deepest rest if it's like, I think 63 or 65 degrees, whatever, in the area you're sleeping. So
Dude, what is that Celsius?
20. It's like 25-ish, 22, 23.
22, that's warm.
I would much rather sleep like in an ice cold room, and that I sleep the best when it's like that. But the cooler you can make your room, the better you will probably sleep. And the cooler you can make your body, hence the cold showers at night.
Do you guys notice any difference when you backload with, say, cleaner carbs or dirtier carbs? Do you see a difference in that heat effect, or is it just?
I know.
I would say that it depends on. So if my backload is fattier, I actually feel like probably because I'm also fuller, so I feel like I've just exploded my stomach, and also I'm burning up on top of that. It's more uncomfortable. I don't think it's more. I don't feel hotter or anything. I just feel more comfortable.
Actually,
Go ahead, dude.
I was just gonna say I only really started noticing it recently, and I don't know if it's because of the heat of the food. Like I'll eat 5 baked potatoes at a time, or I'll eat like 2 cups cooked rice at a time. I don't know if it's the heat of the food or something else, but I've noticed it heat up more now than I might used to. But it's also hot here now, and humid as hell. So.
Come here, silly. Oh, sorry. Talking to my cat.
No, and my experience has been identical to Andrew's. I'll get home from the gym or karate at like 8:30 at night, and immediately, cook up 2 cups of jasmine rice and Part of it, I think is definitely the heat of the food. Part of it is I live in an old house that's not very well insulated, so I have to like immediately turn down the fan to 65 before I'm even ready for bed. And I'll plow through that, and I'll be sweating like a stuck pig. And that might be the heat of the food, might be because I cover all my food in sriracha. I'm not sure.
There you go.
But I do sweat a lot for about 20 minutes, then it wears off, and I just sit on the couch in front of the fan until I'm cool enough to sleep. But lately, I've had this weird thing where if I eat any food after 8 p.m., I start sweating. I'm not sure what it is because I've had this terrible week at work, so I haven't been training. I've just been low carbing it. It doesn't matter. It could be a carb, it could be a fat, a protein. If I eat after 8 p.m., I suddenly start sweating for a while, and I have no clue why. And it wears off.
How big is the meal that you're eating? Like,
It's like
compared to the rest of your day. Like, I mean, how heavy? Because if you're barely eating during the day and then you give yourself this massive meal to close it out, I can see how that might kind of your body's like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, it's a matter of inputting energy / calories. I'm not.
Yeah.
Dana's not on here, so he's not going to blast me for saying the word calorie. But it is you. No matter what you're eating, you're putting energy into your system.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, that was my first thought, was it was the volume of the food. But the thing is, when I'm low carb, I get the best results by doing like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, smaller meals, and they're all about the same size. So like a couple eggs, some meat, maybe an omelet with meat folded in. They're all about the same size. So it'll be like 600 calories, 700 calories, 700 calories, whatever. Because I really don't get hungry on low carb, and if I'm not training, I don't really care about eating enough. And they're all about the same size, and it still happens, which is just funny to me.
That is kind of weird to me. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not dying, but it's just interesting.
Is it independent of temperature of food you're intaking?
Yeah, because all my dinner, I always have a hot dinner, so like that's been consistent for years. I could be doing an omelet, it could be like just some, reheated meat with some veggies on the side, something like that. It just, I don't know. I've tried to go over all like the confounding factors, and I really can't think of any.
Looks like Texas finally came back.
Texas here!
Yay, Tex!
Just his avatar, but so. Yeah,
Hey,
Don't look so happy, man. Everybody's like, "Hey, what's up?" Just
yeah, last couple minutes, like just now. So
I think we beat that question to death. So.
Yeah, cool. Anybody? I don't know if any of you guys train like they're CrossFitians or anyways train for different modalities. Like I'm obviously the powerlifter. I think the main one here anyway. But I guess Stiff was wondering like how you guys do, I guess, or how you guys program around different energy systems. So
I'm pretty sure he called you out, Steven, in that one. He was like, "Bolo, I know you do this."
Yeah, because Stiff trains like 3 times as much as I do. Like I would love to train more, but I just can't. But I do train for powerlifting. I'm doing the cube method right now, and I do karate. So usually my schedule works out that Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays I'm weight training, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm doing karate. And karate, everything we do is body weight, so it's much more aerobic, a lot more. I don't know if you really could say what.
I was gonna say I offered the word calisthenic.
Thank you, because I was about to say metabolic conditioning, but I don't think that's right. But that's mainly, when I do sparring, it's a lot of sprint work and everything. When I'm training for those different things, though, I still backload after karate. Always clean after karate because I really don't feel like I need to go nuts. But it is glycolytic. I do feel a need that for the sake of recovery, some carbs help out. So that's usually rice or potatoes after karate with some pork or chicken or something lean. I've been taking some cues from Stiff lately, actually, because he's been talking about keeping his fats like super low and upping his carb intake for training. So I'll have a little more fat on my karate days because I don't do as many carbs.
Uh-oh.
No, I think we might have lost him.
Okay.
He'll be back.
And yeah, and if I
Hey,
if I go,
you cut out, Steven. We didn't hear anything you said after you started on the talking about stiff lowering his fat.
okay, can everyone hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. No, I've been keeping my fats lower and my carbs higher in general. But what I've noticed is that when I go to karate, it's not just a physical component because, since I was 16, I've had this great capacity to physically endure. Like, I mean, I can take abuse and keep on trucking for most of the night regardless. But what I've noticed is that my mental performance really goes down unless I have some extra fat before going into karate, which makes sense since your brain can preferentially run on fat and ketones. So I usually up my fats a little bit. Like usually I'll fast for 12 hours, do my coffee with heavy cream, have a meal, with some fat in it, and then go to the weight room. Well, when I do karate, I usually have to have either a big snack or a small meal around 3 or 4 in the afternoon, and then I train karate at 7. And because we do the physical side of it, that's you can suffer through that. But we also do the class mostly in Japanese. So if I don't have that little extra bit of fat, like I start blanking out on terminology, I start bonking during sparring. Like it's more the mental side of it that I need some extra food for before training. Otherwise, like when I was just doing my straight paleo thing, I was under eating by accident for like a year. So I would go into karate with like 500 calories in my stomach for the whole day, train karate at 7 to 9 at night, and I wasted away pretty much. Like I weigh 200 now. I was 175 back then. But it's mental performance that I really have to worry about, though, because on top of the terminology, I'm really slow to react when I'm sparring if I don't have a little extra something before training.
And it sucks getting punched in the face.
Yeah, it really does.
That's a great motivator.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to. You said something that I'm going.
Getting kicked in the throat isn't fun either.
Yeah. So before I get on that, there was one day at Muay Thai, and I forgot my cup, and I learned really quickly why you never forget your cup. I was racked twice, and that same day I was also kneed in the head.
Ooh.
And then I
That is
took a
not
kick to
fun.
the side of the face. We had like 10 minutes left of sparring, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done. It is not my day. Anyway, I'm going to pick something apart that you said.
Okay.
It's bad enough when you are training for a single modality. If you are training for multiple modalities, I do not think you should at all worry about fasting times.
Okay.
This is one that, like, I've been looking at Dr. Jacob Wilson's stuff a lot lately, and he talks about metabolic flexibility, and it's very similar to carb backloading with how you distribute macronutrients. And the key is really simply avoid carbs in the morning. And I have actually recently been eating more food, and specifically more during the day. I'm generally eating within an hour or two of waking up. That's when I get hungry. And I have not worried about how long it's been since my last meal. And I have actually noticed better performance. I've leaned out more, and I've been losing weight again since I've done that. And I've been eating more total calories. I think the fasting is an unnecessary stress on the body when you're training that much. And if you look, when fasting got really big, it got really big through lean gains, which, if not everyone knows, lean gains is the 16-8 that Martin Burkin has. And he talks about when you do it, you need to actually control your training volume. And he recommends training 3 days a week for around an hour at a time. And so 3 hours a week of training. But if you're training 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a week, I don't think that fasting is going to be your best bet. And even Kiefer.
And so that's well, and so when he says that, I haven't been keeping up with Burkan in a long time. So when he says that, we are still on Burkan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, really quickly, by the way, Bolo, I think you look almost like your face is like a spitting image of his. I just have to say.
It kind of is. I can see that.
Of
Yeah, I can
Burkhan's?
see now that you mention that.
A Burkhan's face or Bolo Jung's
Yeah.
face?
No.
Okay. Because have you guys seen the movie Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
I think I saw it when I was really young.
Yeah, because that's where my nickname came from. Some friends of mine started calling me Bolo because they said I looked like the American version of Bolo Jung. So that's why I got called for a second.
Nice.
I was heavier back then, and I'd like to say, because I don't want to look like Bolo Jung. That guy was weird looking. But I mean, that's something I hadn't really thought about because I've always thought that I had trouble with metabolic flexibility because for a while I was having a really hard time getting CBL to work for me. So I thought that I was like had insulin resistance or something that just was inhibiting getting the full effects. But since it's been working for me, I haven't experimented with the whole fasting protocol. I've been trying to do it just by the book. So that's interesting. I'm gonna have to start playing around with that to see if that makes a difference.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with Trevor. I think the fasting thing's overblown.
Yeah.
I think if you're thinking about it enough to worry about when the hell you had your last meal, when you're gonna have this one, then you're probably doing it too long.
Yep.
And then I'd also say that if you're training for different modalities, like Bolo UR, stiff is, like I just teach a lot of CrossFitters. I think you can't be scared of pre and intra-workout carbs in that situation either.
Oh yeah.
Because you're going to blow through pretty much anything you fucking ingest in that point anyways. So having some rice or like gummy bears or dextrose or whatever is not going to hamper your fat loss, A, and B, your performance there. And if anything, it's going to supercharge you while you do it. So I think, yeah, fasting, pretty overblown. If you have to think about it that much, you're thinking about it way too much. And it's not making a difference.
I will say I use inter-workout carbs, and I will actually even use pre-workout carbs sometimes, especially if I have multiple training sessions in a day. And I don't think that I could maintain it without it. So I really think if you're having multiple sessions a day, you should look to have maybe a small amount, kind of look at what John Meadows recommends, small amount of carbs, like 20, 30 grams of carbs, 20, 30 grams of protein, 5, 10 grams of fat, pre-workout, and then bring in some inter-workout carbs during it, especially if it's a longer session. I think that, again, it's just, you got to understand, if you're really putting that much stress in your body, you can't be adding extra stress by having all this caloric restriction, extended fasting times, everything like that. It's just going to be too much.
Yeah, you just really got to simplify shit. I mean, low carb when you're not training, and then just adjust your carbs to figure out what works for you. I mean,
Yeah.
if you just follow those two simple rules, you get 90% of CBL.
And eat something, like eat when you're hungry. Although I will say, if you've been fasting for a long time, that's something you probably have to break because you probably aren't going to be hungry in the morning. You might actually want to even eat if you're not hungry in that case. But still, if you're hungry, don't say, oh, well, I want to go to this workout fasted or whatever. Eat.
I can actually relate to that because I did Birkin for a while, and I wasn't hungry till like 2 o'clock when I first started back.
Yeah.
So I had to force myself to actually eat earlier, which is weird because I wasn't hungry. But I actually had to force myself into that, and now I'm starving by like 9, 10 o'clock.
Yeah, that's me. This morning I ate something at like 10 o'clock. I woke up at like 8:30, and by about 9:30 I was started noticing I was getting hungry, so I went and cooked. It's if you start listening to your body, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna perform better, and I think in the long run you'll end up looking better.
So that's basically like what we had to cover. Anybody have like a kind of random aside or anything you wanted to get covered that we might not have done earlier?
I got a question for people out there. What is everyone's thoughts on whether or not people need to do a 10-day, the orientation? Because I feel like a lot of people use it as I fell off the bandwagon, I screwed everything up, I need to reorient again. And I'm just curious what people's thoughts are on that.
I think probably the first time you start is probably worth it, especially if you've never been low carb before. I would actually definitely do it. If you've been low carb before, I think that you're right. It ends up people, they fell off the wagon and go to, that, and I think they end up in a binging purge cycle, basically.
Yeah. I feel like it becomes
now,
it becomes a fix-all. Like, this 10-day reorientation will make everything better, kind of thing.
Yeah, and okay, now as I do this, I have to throw in a side note. Like Spots was saying, she's doing carb night because she has things falling, big events falling on the weekends. I think that's a little different. That's planning to overfeed. Right. But you see a lot that people, they do fall off the wagon and they're like, well, I'm going to do the reorientation again. I'm going to do, 5 sessions of HIIT this week. And it just ends up being them punishing themselves because they feel guilty for eating. When instead, they would probably be better off just getting back where they were before it happened in the first place.
I mean, shoot, I can't count on the number of fingers and toes I have. Number of times I've just had days where I'm like, I eat whatever I want to eat. That includes muffins. That includes whatever I want, and I just jump back into it. And in the long run, I think it's falls back into this flexible dieting thing where it's like, if you get to the point where you feel guilty about with whatever you ate, it's probably going to treat you differently than if you just accept it as, hey, that's already happened. I'm just going to move on from there.
Yeah, I think if anything, maybe if you really overfed, go like a day low carb just to give yourself a digestive system break. Because there's been times where I have gone crazy with what I ate. I honestly just don't feel like eating the next day because I kind of feel like.
No, absolutely.
Sorry,
I'm a bit of a diehard on that 10-day thing, just because that's one of the only reasons I was able to continue doing carb night for so long in the beginning, because I did not want to go through that 10 days again. It was like, yeah, I do it every 5 days. It's not like it's 7 days and it's only 3 extra days. It's like that's a whole 2 of my weeks that I wouldn't have carb night. And in the beginning, I kind of really needed that to stay on my rear.
Like I said, I think it's good the first time you're doing it, and if you've never been low carb before, it's probably a good idea because it's going to help you get used to being low carb. But
exactly.
The people that have been doing the diet for a while, I just think it's a good way to end up in, like I said, a binge purge cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Trevor, do
and
you
even in the book, in the old carb night book, it does say, yeah, you can have a carb day every once in a while and not worry about it.
Yeah.
So it's basically saying once you've been in it for so long, it's not going to kill you. You don't have to go back to 2 days.
I think that's just to avoid you from becoming like food phobic, right? Like I think one of the dangers you run into is that people are obsessed with staying low carb and obsessed with their carb and stuff. Like I'll have days where I just go haywire, and then I'll have days where I eat barely anything. And I don't really concern myself with either. Like I eat barely anything, I'll still train if I have to train that day. And it doesn't I don't know. I guess my mindset, it doesn't affect me. And I think the best part of the 10-day orientation is just from a mindset perspective. This is how we're gonna eat, and this is what I gotta do, and then it's done.
Yeah.
So if someone's really having a tough time with it, then put them through that. But I don't think so. It also depends on, I think, how lean you are and how much control you have over that kind of stuff. Like I wasn't super lean when I started. I'm a lot leaner now, so I can't even count the number of low carb days I've had in the last 2 months. Like it hasn't been many, it's maybe 5 or so where I haven't gone back, where I've gone completely without carbs, and I'm still probably at my lowest body fat ever.
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot more flexible than people are allowing it to be, and I think if you really restrict yourself too much, you're just going to end up spinning your wheels.
Yeah, definitely.
I was definitely one of those people when I did carb night. It actually was bad for me. It caused me to splurge and to binge, and I mean, it was kind of a good thing because it got me my fear of food. That if I had carbs, I had to go do some HIIT. But I mean, it also made me go from 6% body fat to 15% body fat. But still, I'm a happier person now having carbs every night and not really caring if me and the girlfriend go out and have Mexican food. So I guess I don't really know how that did deal with the 10-day orientation, but I was just kind of giving how carb night was actually a bad thing for me when I didn't need it. I just did it because I thought I'd get fat if I ate something. So
I think what Trevor said there gets into a binge and purge cycle. I think that's probably the people who have the mindset of, I shouldn't eat this because it's bad for me, or like they have like these two different, I should eat this, I shouldn't eat this. It's like the exclusionary kind of dieting, and people who have those kind of like the paradoxical mentalities about food are definitely have a tougher time with anything that's like, okay, during this, even with like something like lean gains where it's like, don't eat whatever you want, don't eat whatever you want. It's like they get so rigid about it that they forget that there's millions of other people who've done it a different way and achieved similar results.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I actually got into that conversation on Spats' log not too long ago. And I think like, people have been getting shredded eating chicken, broccoli, and fish for centuries, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and you can't be too ignorant to not take something from those guys. Like John Meadows, like sure he's not your classic keto guy, but the guy's like peeled. I mean, what does he have? Full body fat that he's walking around at. So if you can't take something from guys like that, then you gotta look at kind of where your head's at. Too far insane or not, right? And I mean, generally with me, I wake up leaner after I have carbs for the most part. As long as I don't go hog wild and I'm not super distended and I haven't stuffed myself, like I wake up looking like a rock star. So
Yeah, that's how it's been for me. I've recently been eating carbs every night, and I find that I do, especially when I have a really high training volume, I do a lot better eating carbs every night than trying to go low carb. I look better and I feel better.
yeah, I think you gotta be careful about think low carbs are keto. Like, just because you look bad doesn't mean that you need less carbs. It might actually mean you just need more, or you need more food, or you need more rest, or something. And it's not necessarily your ultra low carbs. It's like, oh no, I must have had like 10 grams too many carbs today. That's why I look like shit and I'm watery. Like maybe you're just beating yourself in the ground. You haven't been getting any sleep. Your adrenals are screwed. Look at everything. Look at your whole picture, right? Look at your whole picture. You can't just look at your food.
There's a guy I know here. He's a friend of my boss's, and we have tried so many times to work with him. And he had been really overweight, and he did like Atkins and lost like 100 pounds, got down like 180, and he has since gained back up like almost all of the weight. And his thought is, well, I must be eating too many carbs, and he's eating like 20 grams of carbs a day. And he actually said he's like, I must be eating too many carbs. I have to go down to 10 grams a day. If I eat more than 10 grams a day, I'm going to get fatter.
Man, like, if I only had 10 grams a day, I'd kill somebody.
Yeah, it's like, I doubt that's the issue. Maybe the fact that, you're doing all this stuff, you can only eat like crap anyway. Let's take a look at the whole picture.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that some people are missing is that it's not like your food's just one small compartment of your whole life, and you can't just leanness is gonna be like a wholesale solution, not just necessarily a food solution. All right, I'm out. All right.
I actually have a question, and I think I want David to chime in on it whenever he gets back. Trevor, I think you can probably do it too. Has anyone on here ever been full keto, like not like CAD or anything? They just every single day, low carb.
Yes.
What was your?
I'm sorry. Say that again.
So what was your experience with it?
Okay, so I've done it multiple times. I felt pretty good, to be honest. I wasn't training then like I do now. But I did feel pretty good. I didn't really have hunger issues often. But it was when I was still really focused on weight loss during my whole losing all the weight I did. I eventually got to the point where I just plateaued, and it's like no matter what I did, I didn't lose any weight. And I got to the point where, like 1 year, I literally fasted the entire day at my family's first family Thanksgiving get-together we've had in like 5 years because there was nothing I could eat that would fit in my diet. When I finally broke, though, I broke and had like, I think, 5 or 6 sweet potatoes with marshmallow and brown sugar, and then a
Yeah.
cookie. And I actually woke up the next day 3 pounds lighter, and it was the lightest I'd ever been.
Wow.
And I had been full keto for probably 6 months.
Wow.
I think that if you are seriously metabolically deranged and have serious medical issues, full strict keto long term is beneficial. For anybody else, I do not think it's a good idea. Period.
I think I agree for anybody who trains in any large capacity.
And I think if you're training more than once or twice a week, even now this is probably different for females, so I'm going to throw that out there because we have 2 females here.
Thank you.
But I think if you're training more than once or twice a week, you have no business, unless of course you're like 30% body fat, you have no business being low carb for even a week at a time.
What when you were full keto, were you tracking calories at all, or were you tracking macros, or were you doing either?
I was tracking both. And I was probably eating about 2,000 calories a day, maybe 100, 120 grams of protein, filled the rest in with fat. Maybe, I'd have some days higher, maybe 2,500, some days down to probably 1,600.
Yeah.
You hear some people talk about, well, it's just the amount of, you could just eat more calories and make up for it. I just honestly don't feel it's a good idea, even with, just adding more calories in to make up for it. I just don't feel that it's necessary or necessarily beneficial for anybody outside of the cases I brought up.
I think it's, especially if it causes stress. It's one of the things that I wish more people would write about, but I think it's such a difficult topic to contain.
It's not a flashy topic.
No, but I feel like stress is one of the largest reasons why people don't look the way they want to look. I think it's like, well, a lot of people contribute, weight gain. You can. It's like I've read things that it's up to 5 pounds of water weight. You can lose, if that much within a couple of days. Usually, it's the fact that you're put on or you're taking off water weight, and a lot of people stress out about it.
If I sleep like crap and get like 4 hours of sleep and I'm super stressed out, my weight will steadily go up and I generally get to the point where I will do a lot of things to combat stress. That's where I really like magnesium salt baths and stuff to really replete magnesium levels, and generally have like all out, eat whatever I want, and just stop stressing completely. I will generally wake up looking leaner and being lighter the day after that. And I think it, just like you're saying, it's stress levels, and people let stress get the best of them, and they don't think about that as one of the equations to factor in.
And what I've noticed with some of the people that I deal with, I don't train anybody, with the people that ask me questions, a lot of them don't think they're stressed, but their stress levels are much, much higher than it's not like, everybody knows the stress of if you step in front of it's your day to present in front of the classroom, or you're not very good at public speaking and you have to speak in front of everybody. That feeling of stress, heart beating, you don't sleep all the night before, like that's. Yeah. I feel like that's one aspect. There's like the undertones of stress that a lot of people just kind of write off as, oh, that's just life. I mean, some of it is life. Everybody's life is going to be stressful, pretty much regardless.
Just part of life.
But there's steps you can take to try and minimize or to manage the stress, which I feel like a lot of people could definitely benefit from.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, I think, for me anyways, 2 books that really helped me with that. One I read a long time ago and one I read more recently was was Anthony Robbins. I mean, I read self-help books, but Anthony Robbins one, Unleash the Giant Within. That dude has got some stuff that's absolutely dialed as far as stress management goes. And his biggest thing is just like, you know, the one big takeaway for me was there's stuff you can control and you can fix. And if it's one of those things, then your best bet course of action is just do whatever you need to do. And then there's things you can't control and you can't fix. And your best thing to do with those is just toss them out with the garbage. And that's it. And everything's broken down to those two things. And then as far as the science behind it goes, I read Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And that was great. Like, it's a dry read. Like, unless you really love that stuff, don't read it. But it's a really dry read, but it gave me a lot of insight into kind of what's going on chemically in that standpoint. But yeah, I think stress for people is massive. I think one thing people just can't let go of is control, which is why so many people overeat, is because it's a control point. Or they obsess over their diet because it's a control point. But it's probably sparked by something in another area.
Okay, in this group of people, you guys will probably understand it. How many of you guys have ever heard someone, they work out because of their stress relief?
Yeah, I used to say it myself.
Often.
Or have said it themselves?
Yeah.
I've said it many times. That's how I got through college.
People forget that training in and of itself is going to be a stressor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I get that. It's hard. I have a bad day at work.
See, buddy.
I can go to the gym, put headphones on, and everything else in the world disappears. So I get that. But training is a stress, and people forget that.
For me, though, I know I still say it, and I still believe it, because the one good thing about training is if I have 300 pounds on my back and I don't concentrate enough, and I'm not in my zone, and I'm not worried about what's going on at home and work or whatever, if I have my mind anywhere else for a split second, I'm going to kill myself.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think from that standpoint, training and just being able to zero in on one thing and one thing only is incredibly relief. It's a big relief from a mental standpoint, not necessarily physical. But yeah, so I mean, from one dimension, I think it really.
I just, you see when people begin to really abuse it.
Yeah, like anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this lady in a group, and there's this lady in one of these Facebook groups, and I don't know, this was probably about a month ago, but she was just talking about her complications with cardiac and asked her about her workout schedule. She was doing CrossFit 6 times a week. You know, and I was like, hey, that's a lot of stressors on your body. You know, you're going to have to either maybe try a modified carb backloading or cut down on these stressors. And she's like, oh, it's not a stressor. No, I enjoy it. This is how I get stressed out. It's like, you don't understand. You're restricting carbs for one, so that's causing a stressor. And then you're throwing your body into CrossFit 6 times a week. Of course you're not seeing progress.
I see, like, I coach at a gym on a Monday and Thursday night. I coach at a CrossFit box. And you wouldn't believe the amount of people I see go from like 2 times a week to 6, and they still look terrible. And you know, I'm the powerlifter, and powerlifting apparently just gets you fat. It's a complaint I heard at some point.
Yeah, totally.
When I'm like the leanest dude there, but anyway.
So I don't know if everyone here has seen like the first page of my log where I kind of talk about my past. But at one point during that, and listening to a friend who was in college for kinesiology and to be a coach at the time, I had severely restricted my calories in an effort to lose weight, and I was probably eating about 1,600 calories a day. And at the time, I was running about 10 miles a day, 6 days a week, doing a CrossFit workout 6 days a week, and doing either P90X or Insanity. So around 4 hours of working out a day, 6 days a week.
I barely do that a week.
Damn, that's impressive.
And I did that for probably months, and I gained like 15 pounds. I looked like crap, I felt like crap. I ended up with some major hormonal problems. Yeah, I destroyed myself.
You were just running yourself into the ground.
Exactly. So, yeah, I get the whole stress relief thing, but that's, talking about it, more is not always better.
Yeah, and there's actually there's a girl I know, I don't know her too well anymore, but like a year ago, if things hadn't worked out with Annie, she was like my backup plan to ask out at one point. But The,
We won't tell.
yeah, don't
We
tell
don't
me.
know. Well done.
Just report it, right?
We're on our way to the altar now, so I can be honest. But
Okay.
I'm just saying. I thought she was cool because she was a trainer. She was really into fitness. You know, there was all that. But in the past year, she's turned into like this textbook case of the dangers of overtraining and chronic cardio because she does triathlons. So she's like biking, running, swimming, miles and miles a week. Like I don't know the specifics of her training volume, but it's nuts. And like in the past year, she's put on at least 6 inches on her. So what?
I think she was talking to somebody else.
Oh, gotcha. Sorry, I'm really hard of hearing, so like I always stop and I think I missed something.
Yeah.
So
No,
anyway,
keep going.
she's put on like a visible amount of weight. Like she still looks like muscular, but it's like with nothing but cardio and all that training all the time. She is like night and day between a year ago and right now. And like I just noticed that the other day because it's beach season. I live near Pensacola Beach. Everyone's in their swimsuits, and I was like, "Holy crap! You can tell Molly does cardio,
Yeah.
and a lot of it."
You know, we always think of stress as like in weight gains and everything, but I kind of have a story about myself that I used to, if I don't know if you ever follow my log, you'd know this story, but I was really lean, like 6%. And when you get that lean, you want to get leaner. You're never lean enough. And I was probably eating 6 meals a day, the brown rice and chicken, working at a river resort where we threw rafts all day. I'd come in here before and after I got off, which is a gym. Sorry, I'm at a gym working. And I was stressing. I got so much stressors in my body, and I was lifting so hard I caused a hernia. Well, I went all over the place to try to find out this hernia. It was a femoral hernia, which is a woman hernia. I know it's kind of ironic, but I got this woman's hernia, and so none of the doctors were looking for it, and I was stressing so bad because it hurt to go to the gym. I was losing weight, although losing weight at 168 pounds wasn't hard because I was just losing muscle mass, and I caused a genetic disease to come out that is strictly stress-induced. That you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning than getting this disease, but it's possible if you stress hard enough and if it runs in your family. And now I know it's actually a stress monitor because if I'm stressing too much, my disease will get worse and it gets really painful. So I always have different ways of stress relief. And if my disease is bad that day, I just don't go hard at the gym, or I find like I go and walk my dog, or I stretch, or I just find good stress relieving ways. And I think that's one reason why I have a coach for doing all my diet is just because it takes that stress relief out of my life, having someone tell you what to eat, when to eat, and do all that. But I mean, everyone thinks of stress as such a weight kind of thing, but it will kill you in the end. So it's super important. It's actually probably the most important thing you can control in your life. At least that's what professionals are telling me. Yeah.
You can control a lot of it. And just to give, I know Ryan personally as well, so just to give a little background, he was saying he's 168 and losing weight. The dude is like 6'4".
Oh, yeah.
Just to throw that out there, and I've also seen the genetic issue he's talking about. I've seen it happen. But he does bring up like saying that stress is control because you can control it. It's something that there's so many stresses we add to ourselves. We can control it if we're just willing to.
I think it's quite ironic that a lot of the stresses that people in our circle, and by our circle I mean people who care about how they're performing, how they're looking, health and fitness. It's like the amount of I feel like there's sometimes it's like the more knowledge we gain or collectively we gain, the more we stress out. Whereas some people who are like Ryan told, who are given like, hey, this is what you're doing, this is how you're gonna do it, and then don't go on any blogs, don't read any more information, just follow this for 6 months, see how it treats you. It's like we introduce so many new stresses to our lives every day.
And when someone said the gym is their stress relief, that made me laugh because this is my biggest stress. Like I'm doing pre-med, and the gym stresses me more than physics, and I have no idea what I'm doing in physics, but this stresses me more at the end of the day than anything. So I don't know. the people that get that, like I think Brandon said it, the people that don't get on the forums and try to change everything that what the book's written out are the people that do the best.
Yes.
Just because they're not stressing.
Facebook group. Oh my God, the Facebook group.
I don't get on.
I hate that group.
How many times do you see it on the group where someone posts something from somebody else?
Comments.
What are your thoughts on this? It doesn't agree. It goes against what Kiefer talks about. Pick who you want to follow. Shut up and do it.
Exactly. I was the most recent one who did it where I laughed at the fact that the guy quoted Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I was about to write. I was like, if you don't want to follow it, if you think it doesn't work, then just don't do it. If you want to try and follow it, just follow it. Like don't start read. If you look for a reason for something not to work, chances are it won't work.
Yeah.
I think my biggest thing with that is I think if you don't follow something verbatim, whether it's a training program or whatever, how the hell are you supposed to know what works and what doesn't, and how the hell are you supposed to adapt it and change it to what you want? Like for me, I can't go high fat. I get digestive stress. It's terrible. So I'm pretty low fat for someone on a keto diet. Mind you, I'm not really on a keto diet, so.
I'm going to Tex. I apologize. I'm going to call Tex out on this one. In my program. Okay, so this goes back to what you and I were talking about, though, is you can't pick the parts you want to pick and do that. Go all in and do what is given, or do something else. Like, if you pick and choose and try to create something out of a little of this, little of that, little of this, little of that, you're never going to know what's actually going to work for you. So I just had to throw that out there because me and you were just talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of my biggest things too. Is like I coach a powerlifting group, and I had them at 5x5 for probably like 6, 7, 8 weeks, somewhere around there, and we just tinkered with their form, and they're bored out of their minds. But by the time we got around to testing our 1RMs, I think everybody had at least like a 20-pound PR at the end of the day.
I'm bored out of my mind with my program. Yeah. I am. Like, my program is, I go in 4 days a week and I do the same thing 4 days a week.
Yeah, but look at your pause squat. You pause squat more than I could.
Yeah, I've worked up to where, like, now I'm pause squatting, what before, if I put that on my back without a belt on, I felt like I was going to get crushed. And now it feels easy to do a pause squat with it. So, yeah, just shut up and do it.
It's like Andrew, I know you're a big fan of Paul Carter, like his base building. I absolutely love that book, and when I get back hopefully into powerlifting, I'll do something along those lines. But I love how it's just focus on making everything as excellent as you possibly can, do it as written, and just focus on getting better at it as written.
Well, it's one thing I know, like especially with Paul's stuff, and this is where Brandon and I kind of disagree, but well, I know he knows more than I've forgotten. He's forgotten more than I know. So let's just put that out there. But I like working at lower intensities with people and with myself because I can tweak stuff endlessly and still complete all my reps. Like I recently moved my squat stance in a hair, and it's made all the difference. I couldn't do that if I was working at 8% for doubles. Right?
Yeah.
Since I'm working at 60% for 5x5, I can screw around with that and I'm fine.
Yeah. That's actually a good point I never really thought about. But the fact that I feel like working up, like you said, like when you work in lower percentages, you have the opportunity, unless you know exactly what your squat form is going to be, and I bet there's not 90% of the powerlifters out there, powerlifters like up and coming people who are aspiring powerlifters know exactly what their form should be because of their biomechanics. I feel like working in a range that allows you to try to find what's best for you is probably makes the most sense.
Well, man, I can't like I run that powerlifting class, and I can't tell you how many people I've taken from like a super narrow stance and moved their feet out like half an inch, maybe, and flared their toes out like a tiny bit, and it's changed their squat completely. They got from handling like where a weight was impossible because their feet were forward and they couldn't hit depth and whatever, and now all of a sudden I just moved their feet out and pointed their toes out like a slight bit, and all of a sudden it's like a night and day difference.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have them do that if I was having them work at 80% for doubles or if I was working at 70% for triples or whatever. But 60%, I can endlessly screw with what they're doing and refine it and reinforce it. And then build
I've noticed that, especially with I always notice that, especially with my deadlift. if I do not deadlift heavy and work at lower percentages, my deadlift will go up. If I am trying to deadlift heavy, my deadlift gets stuck.
Well, and you just gotta remember how like incredibly taxing a deadlift.
Yeah.
Right, like,
And it's the same with squat too, but I just notice it the most on my deadlift. Because deadlift is one I can go months on end without deadlifting really heavy, and then decide to deadlift heavy one day, and I'll gain. Last time I did it, I gained like 40 pounds.
yeah, like well, they're very complimentary lifts. Like you look at a guy like Jimmy Lewis, and he never deadlifts; he squats his brains out. And his deadlift, I think he's gonna probably hit 700 next time he competes at 181.
I want to say 181. I'm pretty sure it's 181.
Yeah, I think so too. The guy's an absolute animal.
His squat is only 20 pounds less than his deadlift. He absolutely should hit 700. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think he hit like 661 with a torn bicep.
That's right.
Yeah.
Blew it out.
Hey guys, I got to get off here. My Mac's about to die. It was great talking to y'all. I'll be seeing you next time.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah.
See.
Have a good one, bud.
Later.
I think it might be good to wrap up anyway because
I was about to say the same thing. It's
we've probably been going for about an hour and a half, but we'll arrange one for next month, and I'll throw this link up on the group. But yeah, good putting faces to names, everybody,
all right.
and actual names to names.
Yeah.
All right. Well, take care.
Good seeing everybody.
All right, take it
Later,
easy.
guys.
See you guys.
See you next time.